Welcome to the show. My name is Rabbi Daniel Schonbuch, your host. Each week we explore fascinating topics in the Jewish community, and this week we'll be dealing with the issue of helping teens at risk. I'm sure some of you may have a teen at risk or know a teen at risk. We're going to learn about the history of teens at risk and things you can practically do to make a difference in your child's life. We're lucky to have with us tonight Mrs. Ruchama Bistritsky-Klapman, the founder and executive director of MASK, an organization which for over 20 years has been working to save the lives of thousands of teens and their families. Ruchama, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a bit about this organization you started, why you started it, and what it does for the community.
I started the organization 20 years ago. It's MASK, Mothers and Fathers Aligned Saving Kids. 20 years ago, nobody spoke about drugs, alcohol, gambling, any addiction. And I saw a need, and I started the organization. And today we've already reached out to, families that reached out to MASK was 45,000 families have been in touch with MASK to help them one way or the other. When I started MASK, it was really for the addict, for the at-risk behaviors. Now, 20 years later, we unraveled it into prevention. Our main goal and main focus is prevention.
Well, how do you prevent, there are people out there that have children, let's say they're 13, 14, 15. At those ages, you see parents get concerned about their kids' behavior. We're living in a world, there's a lot of at-risk behaviors today. So how do you prevent a kid from going at risk? I mean, is it about communication? Is it about loving your child? Is it about listening to your child? What are the keys that you've learned over the years?
Well, over the years, we've realized that it doesn't start at 13 and 14 years old usually. Things happen to kids at a younger age. Possibly it could be only school related. So if a child's in 4th grade and having some issues with school, that could create an issue for them later on in life. They cannot act out in 4th grade. They usually start acting out in 7th and 8th grade, things that may have bothered them from younger years. Whether it was bullying, a child that's bullied at a very young age, you know, if it's not addressed properly and dealt with, then that could be something that will creep up only later when they're becoming young teenagers, and then they act out. So these are, you know, school issues. If somebody has a learning disability and it's not attended to properly, if they're not assessed properly, if parents don't take the school serious, where the school may say in 2nd or 3rd grade, your child needs a smaller classroom. Your child may be ADHD, ADD, attention deficit disorder. Your child may have some learning disabilities. If parents don't take that serious at a young age, then as they get into 6th, 7th grade, that's when kids start to act out. There are many, many reasons a kid acts out. Trauma, a parent dying young. When they're sitting Shiva, parents, when we offer to them, maybe we could bring a professional to speak to your youngster. They say, no, our kid looks fine, kid's laughing, kid's okay, kid's with their friends. But when we ask kids, when they're older and they're already on the road back, once they've gotten the help they need, and we say, so what happened? They said, nobody ever gave us a chance to deal with the grief when we were going through it. They kept saying, oh, she's okay, oh, he's okay. And meanwhile, they did not deal with whatever it is, the trauma that they may have had in their lives when they were younger.
So these are some of the flags which parents and friends of family members need to look out for. But when does it start changing? What types of ages are you seeing that kids become at risk and start acting out?
It used to be when I started MASK 20 years ago, the kids were 16, 17, some 15, 16, 17 years old that they were acting out. Today, 7th graders. 7th graders have no problem dropping out of school. They have no problem doing drugs. They have no problem being on the streets, off the derech, They have no issue in 7th grade doing that these days.
And there's so much more access today. I mean, there's so much more information through the internet, through cell phones, so it's kind of like speeding up some of these problems. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We don't realize, parents don't realize what the phone is doing to our families. Kids today have access to everything out there. They could be very innocent and put in a word in the computer or on their phone looking for something with homework, very innocently a word. And what could come up by mistake from a very innocent word is just something that's just something terrible for a child to see. And once that is imprinted in the child's mind, a young child's mind, that is very hard to ever erase.
So this is a really big problem. So all parents are facing these complexities in today's modern world where there's more technology. And you've helped like so many thousands of kids and families over the years. Can you just give us one case you've helped? Tell us what happened to the child and how you intervened.
So basically, we have parents that call, Rabbanim call our helpline, schools call our helpline, friends call our helpline. We don't work with strangers. We always ask that a parent call. Even to a rabbi and to a teacher, we encourage that the parent call. MASK is mothers and fathers aligned, saving kids, their kid. The only way you could really help any child is getting the parents on board. So we get the parents to call, one of the parents call, and then we do an intake. Our intake is over the phone, and we go back to 4th grade on every intake. Somebody calls up and says their child is 29 years old, 37 years old and married. We go back to 4th grade because our belief at MASK is that we need to go back to where it began. So we're not, if a parent calls and says, my child, my daughter's on drugs, my son has a sex addiction, my neighbor, was bullied, we believe we need to go back to 4th grade so that we get a full history of the school experience and find where did that original trauma begin. Once we do that intake, we engage the parents first. And we have parent support groups. MASK's groups are all facilitated by professionals, by therapists, and they deal with families of any at-risk youth or adult. It's not just children that we help. We help married people, we help young adults, we're in the elementary schools, we're in the high schools. So when a parent calls, we encourage them first to go to our groups. We have groups in many different places, including in Eretz Yisrael, in the OU Center. For 15 years we had group. And the groups educate parents. We first have to understand what we're dealing with. Once a parent really understands what they're dealing with, then we can focus on the teen or the child.
Yeah, so your groups are really helping parents get more information,
Right.
and more information means you could find solutions to a problem.
Yes.
So what do they discover at these groups? Parents come to your groups, they have a child at risk. Their teenager could be an alcoholic, they could be on drugs, they could be out on Shabbat traveling around the city and they have no idea where they are. So what do you give them? What tools do you give them at those meetings to make a difference in their child's life?
So the first thing is to take off our mask as a parent of, hiding, the mask of denial, so that the more the parent feels comfortable to be able to go out and find the solutions and go for the right treatment and not hide, because a lot of parents, that's the first thing, they're embarrassed and they put on a mask and they don't want anyone to know. The kids feel that. The more that the parents take off the mask, the more the parents get educated, we offer them the tools that they may need to get their child the help they need. We're a helpline. Our helpline is a referral helpline. We offer them the referrals to professionals, to drug rehabs, to inpatient, outpatient clinics, that deal specifically with whatever the issue that may be that they're dealing with. So if they need for their child a drug rehabilitation center for heroin, then we will pick the best one based on their family history. We don't just pick a place out of a hat. We don't send parents to the same place their neighbor went to because it worked for their neighbor's child. Every family, every child is different. We also offer them educational classes for the parents to learn what it is that they need to do different. In Mask, we say, if you change the music in your home, your kids' dance steps could change. So we teach the parent, if you took away the kid's cell phone, give it back. You won't get cooperation if you're fighting your kid. So we need to help the parent change whatever they're doing at home that hasn't worked.
So you're kind of saying you have to reduce some of your control. So I'm sure there's listeners out there that may be fighting with their teenager, taking away their phone, slamming a door on them, keeping them in the house as long as they can, making that curfew as long as they can. You're saying it's different, right? That's not going to work.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. So what is going to work for a teenager?
What's going to work is, number one, unconditional love. And if we get any message out there to the parents, to the families, to the community, it's unconditional love. The kid has to know that if he's thrown out of school, that his parents are there for him the day that he gets thrown out. The parents don't scream and yell and punish.
Right.
Instead, the parent is very, very caring and understanding that wherever he is may not be the right place, and that they will get a place, a new school for the child to go where the child can do well and flourish. So the idea 20 years ago about us slamming the doors and punishing and making
It's not going to work anymore, is it? It's
does not work. There's a very huge welcoming committee on the streets. There are houses to go to. There are people that will take in these kids, not for a night, for months and months. So if you think, any parent out there thinks that taking away a phone, making a tighter, earlier curfew, doing things that were working 20 years ago for you don't work today.
So parents really have to start changing themselves before they change their child.
So that's the idea. We need to first get educated of what works, and then we can then only help our child. So if a parent calls, sometimes, parents call and they say, I need help for my child. We reroute them and we say,
you need help first.
We need help as a parent first before we can help our child. When we're on an airplane and they say, put on the mask first for yourself before you help your children or your spouse or whoever's sitting next to you, it's the same concept. First, we need to get the help as a parent, an education, clarity. Solutions will be offered, but not the first phone call.
Okay, so reducing control is one of the first steps to help a teenager at risk. What about communication? How do you communicate differently with a teen at risk?
Well, Rabbi Schonbuch, you wrote a book about at risk and never beyond and communication styles. We offer that to the parents.
Communication is not necessarily something that you use to get something. I believe you use communication to develop a relationship. So the first thing I want parents to ask themselves before they tell their teenager is what I'm about to say going to push my child away or bring them closer? Have you found that approach to be effective as well?
Absolutely. Dr. Tricia Tia facilitates one of the mass support groups in Brooklyn, and that's her whole approach, teaching parents how to first have a relationship. Because when we have a respectful relationship, then you get respectful responses. So if a parent wants to get a child into a rehab and they call and they say, my kid is never going to go in to rehab. How do I get my kid in? Our answer is, how's your relationship?
Well, I love the approach. In fact, in my book, I made an equation. It's I equals QR. I is impact equals the QR, the quality of relationship. So I think the message is pretty simple, and I'm sure you agree with this. If you have more of a quality relationship, you have more impact with your kids. You've got to start being their friend also, right?
Right. So we encourage parents, make their favorite food. When they're getting kicked out on the way home from yeshiva, when the principal tells a child, that's it, you're out of here, they think they're coming home to the screaming parents. Instead, we tell the parents, make his favorite dinner, buy your daughter something small, something nice for her ear, put it on her pillow with a note. I know things are tough.
Make them feel special.
I love you.
Make them feel special.
Right. But it's hard for a parent when their kid's struggling, and it's not like how we were brought up. We were brought up, if our parents said jump, we jumped.
Say how high.
We said how high.
Right.
And today it's not like that. Today parents need to know that the kids need to be loved, because between the internet, between the street, you really need to hold on to your children today, tight. At Mask, we say, hang in, hold on, hug tight.
Fantastic. And what about discipline with kids? How do you change that discipline? Let's say you want your kid to change their behavior, do something different. Are you saying you can't do that with a teen at risk initially? First, you have to develop that relationship, right?
First, a relationship. Nothing is going to happen with your teenager or even a younger child today without that relationship. The kids today, there's so much out there. They stand at a bus stop at 6:30 in the morning, and they're waiting for the city bus. And on the signs, there's so much information that's curiosity. So a kid then, when he comes home or she comes home, may look it up on the internet about a movie, about a show, about something that just they're curious about, that they stand and they see on the buses. And then when they go online, and parents do not have the computer in a public place, and they go online and they surf the web, dangers are waiting to take the kids in, and you cannot fight that. Parents need to have computers in a public place. Parents think they put on a filter that'll keep the kids safe. It's not so easy. There is very, very, very easily broken into. Parents need to know that they need to research these filters to make sure that their computers are strongly filtered in order for our young teens today that know much more than us, our age, and to safeguard them from getting information that's inappropriate.
So tell us about a case, if you can, someone's life. Give us more information. You met parents call you up one day on your hotline. They said, my daughter, my son is in trouble. Take us through a case, how you help them.
So we'll talk about a family who called me when their daughter was 12, and she was bullied, and the school's approach was that it's not our problem. The school then said, either you change your daughter's class, or we're just keeping her in the same class with the bully. But the mom got stubborn, and she thought that, why change my daughter? She's the victim. And the other mom, her daughter belonged in the class where she was. So it became a whole bullying issue. We finally went to the school. The parents called on us. We went to the school, and we worked with the school. And the school then made an agreement to do a gyro. And they did the gyro, and they changed one of the kids' class. Fast forward 3 years later, everything was fine. 3 years later, this young girl had a trauma with another friend. And believe it or not, this girl went off the derech, was doing drugs, went on the street, had sexual relations with young teens her age, and really overdosed and almost died. And thank God we got her, the parents got her into rehab. And thank God, Baruch Hashem, she's alive today. But she said that what happened to me in 12th grade, I never got help for it. And that killed me for so many years, compounded daily. And today, she's married with children, happily married with children. And she said, had she not gotten help when she, at 16 years old, the second time that she, had this trauma, if she not dealt with what happened when she was 12, she would not be alive today.
And Mask was there for her.
Mask was there for the parents to teach the parents how to get the help for their child. See, when parents call, the first reaction we ask them, so describe what's going on at home. And they'll say, well, my son is doing drugs. And he came home, and Friday night, he opened the light in the kitchen, and we were at the dining room table, eating Suda Shabbos, and my husband lost it. He went in, he grabbed his phone on Shabbos, and he threw it in the toilet, and he was screaming at him. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. We told the parents, let your husband go to your son with you, not alone. We always encourage parents, do everything together. Parents, if the husband did something, we say he needs to go to the child and say, I should not have taken away your phone and thrown it in the toilet. I'm sorry. But your actions were so upsetting to me that I really did not, I lost it. The father did. He ended up going to his child with the mother and apologized. The son hugged him, and the son said, I needed you to see that I'm a person. And this family ended up getting into treatment, and the boy was on drugs 3 years and had a terrible relationship at home with the parents. But the parents learned step by step, by going to group, by being individual family counseling, they learned how to help their child get healthy.
So are you saying that most teenagers are really not beyond help? In other words, even if there are viewers out there that have children that are off the derech and in trouble, are you saying you can still get them back, but it depends upon how much love you give to them?
Absolutely. There's always hope. Masks, pushes hope by going to group, by being educated, by families. I would do the same thing. I would also take away the phone. I would also, if I wasn't educated in this.
If you didn't know better.
If I didn't know better. So it's very important that parents realize that there is no shortcut to getting to a teen at risk. It starts with the parents.
And it starts with the relationship.
And the relationship.
Let me ask you one more question tonight. You've been giving out these naloxone kits to families around New York City. Can you talk about the heroin addiction out there, how serious it is, how authorities in New York City are trying to fight back, and the role Mask is playing?
Absolutely. I'd like to thank the mayor of New York City, Mayor Bill de Blasio, for making sure that naloxone is available. Naloxone is another form of Narcan, which is for opiate overdose. And basically, if somebody overdoses on any opiate, then it's a syringe and it's an inhaler. And it is medication that is given after one calls 911 or Hatzalah. So if somebody overdoses, you check their breathing by doing this to them. If their nails or their lips turn purple or blue, then you call 911 or Hatzalah, and then you put your syringe together. It's an inhaler. You put half in one nostril, half in the other nostril, and then you wait. Now, when administering naloxone, one needs to know that they may get very irritable after they get the naloxone administered. So you must scream for help. Somebody should be there because the person will be going through withdrawals once it takes effect. Now, if nothing happened, there often are times, a high percentage, where one needs to get another treatment, another dose of the naloxone on both nostrils. So there are 2 dosages in every kit. And mask, if you call 718-758-0400, anybody could get trained through mask, and we can give them the free naloxone kit.
So if you have a kid at risk, and God forbid they're involved in drugs and even heroin, it's time to call mask.
Absolutely, and don't think it's going to hurt them if you don't know if it's opiate. So it won't hurt somebody.
Even if they didn't take heroin,
Right.
they've OD'd on something else, this can save their life.
This can save their life. Parents, friends, rabbis in shuls, schools, everybody should have the naloxone kit available so that if it's needed, parents could call, anybody could call, and we will train them.
Fantastic. So we're going to conclude the show right now, but I want to ask you if you have anything else you want to turn to the camera and tell the families out there about how they can help their teen at risk.
First of all, thank you, Dr. Schonbuch, for the opportunity of sharing about helping save lives. Parents need to know that alcohol, underage drinking, is very, very, very unspoken about in the frum communities. We need to realize that drugs and alcohol together are an issue, not just drugs. The liquor stores should not be selling underage drinking, to young adults, the liquor. Please do whatever you can to make sure that liquor stores, families, don't leave the open, liquor and wine from Shabbos on the fridge door unattended, because that's where people get it from. Young kids say that they started at home on the fridge door with alcohol during the week. They say they got liquor from bar mitzvahs. That's where they got unattended liquor. Purim time, unattended liquor, and in synagogues by, kiddushim, after the Shabbos kiddush, and everybody goes home, kids know that in their synagogues and their shuls there's liquor. So that message is very important. Naloxone can save a life. Call mask 718-758-0400 for naloxone. And remember, parents, hang in, hold on, hug tight. Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.